In a world far away, there's a land called the Land of Dragons. Two kingdoms join together to form the ultimate weapon of destruction. This all started between two wars of dragons. A whole dragon world, half the world in war, the same for the other half. There was a great dragon lord that was in control of all the other dragons. His name was Escalon. Escalon was a great and powerful and wise dragon. He had the crown for millions and millions of years. His father, the Golden Dragon, gave his crown to Escalon to have him rule over dragons for all of time. However, there was one other dragon that did not share his favoritism for Escalon. His name was Excelsior. Excelsior was a great and powerful dragon just like Escalon, but younger and reckless. Escalon knew of this unfavoritism, yet he decided to make alliance with him. Two kingdoms, both great and very powerful. Excelsior thought he was the best dragon of all, and he knew Escalon was better than him. However, he didn't know that Escalon was planning a war against all the other dragons except Excelsior's. So, what happened was, when Excelsior found out about the war, he thought it was for him. Escalon went over to his kingdom and said, "This is not for you. Stay out of this. This is between me and all the other kingdoms. If you want to be destroyed, be my guest, but stay out for your own good and safety." Excelsior accepted this and stayed out of the way. Escalon destroyed all the other dragons with one swift blow of fire. Excelsior knew if he knew his way around the kingdom, he would have to be by Escalon at all times. Being the name of a holy sword, Escalon, the main dragon, was the best of all the land, and the whole world to be exact. Excelsior, being a great and powerful name, he had to make his own kingdom with Escalon. He decided to mold an old castle that had been destroyed by the war and rebuild it as for his own. Right by Escalon, that is. Excelsior knew of this construction would take time, and Escalon did not care one bit. In fact, Escalon knew everything about this castle and didn't mind that it was being built, even though it was destroyed by him and him alone. Excelsior took this castle and left his old one behind to be destroyed by the war. Escalon, knowing of this construction, willing to help. With one great alliance with Escalon and Excelsior side by side, they would be invincible, and they would be the best leaders of the world. The dragon world, led by a lot of other great dragons like the Black Dragon, Aqua Dragon, and Mecha Dragon. The machines weren't very equipped with a lot of things, but they did have a lot of primitive weapons, I guess you could say, like arrowhead and a lot of other things that they used. But keep in mind, these mecha dragons were the best of their time, even though they were primitive. Excelsior thought this was the perfect time to destroy the useless mecha dragons, just so they were out of the way. Escalon approved of this, and Escalon, along with Excelsior, went over at the same time and destroyed the mecha dragons with one swift blow of fire. As for all the other dragons, like the Black Dragon and Aqua Dragon, that would be a different one, because water puts out fire, so that would have to be dealt with another day. As for the other race, that was different. Black dragons hide in the shadows, and they can blend in with the surroundings as long as it's dark. Well, fire usually lights the way, so they use that to their advantage. War rang out, and everything else was torn to shreds, and the Dragonlands became hellish and red and with lava. After too long, Excelsior and Escalon returned to Earth. Since they'd been there before, they knew their way around. They decided to use human disguises so that they could blend in with their surroundings and with the human race. Escalon designed a new name, Michael. Knowing it's a holy name, the Archangel Michael, God's right-hand angel, and Excelsior, Gabriel, God's other archangel, Gabriel. They made a living. Escalon married a beautiful woman named Sarah. As for Excelsior, Emily. They had a great life. Soon enough, they had children. And this child was half dragon, half human. He was the new heir to the throne and the new heir of the Dragonland. Excelsior became the Golden Dragon after that, and his son took on the name Escalon for the Holy Dragon Sword. And that's where the story begins. With the Dragon World in ruins, they had nothing to do. Well, not entirely true. They went to Earth, which was a challenge, but not much of a challenge. Big houses were being built. For who? I'll get to that later. Escalon was the first to leave. Excelsior was the last to leave. Brothers fight, and that's what made them unique. They fought way too much. In fact, they fought so much that they thought they would destroy every single thing in the galaxy. But that was just a theory. Escalon went to Earth and found a big house. A big, huge, ginormous, luxury house. In human form, it was easier to do that. His voice was soothing, it was calm, it was relaxing. However, Excelsior's was low, gruff, unpleasant to hear. Not only that, he had too much on his plate to begin with. He had too much to think of. What made everything fall apart? Well, for one, Excelsior wanted the Land of Dragons to himself. Second, Escalon was an older brother and was wiser and older than his brother. He could tell everything was wrong, but never once did he think maybe he took a little too far. However, who would think that with his stature and how much he had left to learn? Escalon had much to learn, but not before he took an oath to himself to not get out of control like he did all those years ago. Why do you think that this would be the solution? Anyways, he got a big house, got a family, a beautiful wife, and a little daughter. Now, this woman divorced 2 times before Escalon. So what made him feel like he could do any better? Well, for one, he was a dragon. Since this daughter of his was already half dragon, half human, could this be a match made in heaven? Well, that's half true. The wife, or mother, was full-blood human. So what Escalon would have to do is bite her, much like a vampire would. Bite you in the neck. But in dragons, you can be bit anywhere. And their blood has to be poured into human blood. And for it to fuse together and think about it is inconceivable. However, what good is law if it's conceived in your mind? Only in your mind. What's it mean if it's conceived inside your mind? What's it mean when nothing can come out of it except for imagination? Well, it happened. Escalon bit his own wife, and she became a dragon. Now, let me clarify something first. There are more than just being a dragon. There are perks and downsides to it. First downside is that wings sprout over time. The perk is that you can do anything. Dragons are immortal. Most of them anyways. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're old and about to die, you will stay that age, but you will never die. If you do it young, you will still age, but your soul will not leave. If you are middle-aged, anything between 20 and 86, you will not die. And you will not age past 86. Your body will decay over time. but it will never wrinkle ever again. Scales will become under your skin. Scales will become everywhere. They will show only on your feet, maybe your hands, but never anywhere else. Unless, of course, you tear away the skin, which will be very, very thin after scales take form. Your eyes will become cat-like. Well, the pupils anyways. They will become lines, vertical lines down your eyes, and you will have more than what you have now. You have a choice. Escalon didn't. He had one choice, and that was to live in harmony or war. He chose harmony over war. Now, he didn't think he made the right decision at first. But as time went on, it became more of a good idea. He had more than what he could ask for. But that was different. If he had one more thing to think about, it was the well-being of dragons everywhere. What good is it if you can't see what's about to happen? People say that third time's a charm, but for Escalon it was 17th times the charm. What that means is he had everything to look forward to in his life, but he never thought it would be like that for all of eternity. He could live forever. His whole family could. But one thing wrong with that, it would all fall apart. The more things happen, then the mortals have to leave. Considering there are more humans than dragons in this day and age, Excelsior had a choice to make. Get a family or be lonely for all the rest of his life. Luckily, he could shapeshift. All dragons could. Much like changelings, they can transform. And before too long, it becomes better. What makes everything different? Well, lots of things become different in the known time, but if it's the same as you're writing a life, that's something totally different. He got a life, a job to be precise, but a wife, that had to be a challenge for him. No one got a wife that quick. Escalon only got it because of his voice and how wealthy he was in the dragon world. So, Excelsior had something to think of. About 2 years in human time, he found a wife, had a child, had a life. Now he had to find his brother, but before that, there was a bit of a conflict he had to solve between him and his wife. He never thought about this, but every single thing a child does is for a reason. People think not of that, but sometimes you believe more than what you're led to believe. Don't believe everything you hear. That's the rule for everyone. But Excelsior thought it was something else. Not just that, but a lot more was at stake. He had more than what was on the line. It was only a matter of time before he found out the real truth of his past. His past was warped and twisted and evil, but he knew what to do. He made his own life turn around. How? Well, he could decrease his own age by thousands of years. Time wouldn't change, but he sure as heck would. It's only a matter of time before he did it again. Anyways, after living for thousands of years, he thought of a great idea to make himself known to the world. Dragons had more than just shape-shifting abilities and much more. Dragons could do anything they wanted. Of course, there were perks and cons to that as well. Not only that, but they were also willing to try new things. If dragons could change shape, could humans that were also dragons do that? Well, I wouldn't say that, but yes. Only it would be a little bit more of a process to do it. Living a long life was Escalon's main choice. In fact, what I told you before was a lie. Dragons don't live forever. They live almost forever. Escalon was one of those that could not. And since he was that way, that was also true for his family. After 6,000 years of living, his family finally died down. Same was for Escalon. Excelsior. Sorry. Excelsior had more than just wisdom and strength. Escalon had more. His family died down, and so did Excelsior's. Let's see how that ended. Next time, we shall see who outlives.